Next is the greatest bill that we're going to be hearing today, ACR 46 by Chairman Calderon. Oh, and joint author, Mr. Nazarian. I apologize. I am going to hand the gavel over to Mr. Obernolte, if you would, Chair.
Mr. Calderon, welcome. Please proceed with the presentation of ACR 46.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. And welcome to the committee. Good morning, members. Today I am presenting ACR 46 that I'm joint authoring with Assemblymember Nazarian, which will urge a substantial increased appropriation to the California Arts Council, which aside from last year had not seen an increase in their budget for quite some time. Supporting the arts is not only the right thing to do, it is an investment that is guaranteed to pay the state back. The arts are important contributions to the economy of money and ideas. The 2013 Otis report on the creative economy, which tabulates the economic activity of the entire creative economy, found that 1 in 10 jobs in California are part of the creative industries. Arts are so important to education that the creative industries of California generated $273.5 billion in total output and employed 1.4 million workers. And the arts are so important to education that art classes are mandated for pupils from first grade through high school graduation. Student attendance, performance, and dropout rates all improve when students are enrolled in fine arts courses. The resolution does not provide a dollar figure in order to allow for continued negotiation with the Speaker, President Pro Tem of the Senate, budget chairs, and the Governor on a level which will survive and become law. This committee has consistently supported increased arts funding, and I urge your aye vote to help keep the conversation going and to give the California Arts Council the financial support it deserves. This is an issue that myself, Assemblymember Nazarian, Mr. Bloom, so many members have been focusing on. When we came here, arts funding was $1 million a year. But what changed was that it was $1 million a year from the state, which was the bare minimum. The federal government would do a match of whatever we did. The federal government would match. Last year, we were lucky enough to have a one-time gift of about $2 million from the Speaker. And anything else comes from sales such as license plate sales that would all go to arts funding, which was roughly about $5 million. This year was going to be a challenge because had we done nothing, arts funding for the entire state would have only been $1 million because the federal government got rid of their program to do the match. There would be no more one-time gift for us from the Speaker. And all you would have was the state's $1 million contribution along with whatever money was generated from sales of license plates. And so we took a step forward, myself, Mr. Nazarian, Mr. Daly. We were able to fight and get the state's contribution from $1 million a year to $5 million a year. And we would really like to see that number go up because, Mr. Obernolte, as you can appreciate, arts funding breeds creativity, which then helps us provide the necessary workforce to supply workers to this creative economy, to tech companies, entertainment companies. This is California's future. It's billions of dollars in revenue a year. It is an important issue, and we should be making it very clear that arts education in this state is absolutely 100% a priority, and this committee is going to lead the charge in making sure we get the proper amount of funding so that our kids grow up having that arts education and have a future in California's bright and vibrant creative economy.
Thank you, Mr. Calderon. Do you have any witnesses?
Good morning. Thank you, members of the committee. My name is Nancy Eng. I'm the Director of Community Engagement and a teaching artist at Luna Dance Institute in Berkeley. We celebrated our 23rd birthday last month, and I'm also the Regional Advisor for Teaching Artists Support Collaborative of California, which was founded by nonprofits and city and county arts commissions. Both organizations have received California Arts Council support over the past several years. This morning, I would normally be teaching a dance class to 23 third grade students at Reach Academy in East Oakland. Reach, a Title I school, is one of the lowest performing schools in the district, and Luna was brought in by the school's principal to increase student engagement and support literacy through the dance arts. When I walk into the class once a week, my students turn their heads towards the door and cheer, much to Miss Sherman's, their classroom teacher's dismay, since they are supposed to be quiet. On a weekly basis, they show me creativity, critical thinking, and incredible collaborative skills when they choreograph and perform their dance duets. Here's a snapshot of the diverse urban children whose lives are positively affected through California Arts Council support. Thomas, a young African-American boy who always starts each class by giving me a hug. Ms. Sherman told me that dance is the only time he is engaged in school. There is Petite Mirjam, a recent Muslim immigrant from Ethiopia, whose incredible shyness has blossomed into a fierce dancer. Her strong, powerful movements fill the dance room, and she's reading our dance vocabulary words on the word wall in English. There is Eddie, a super bright Latino boy who has a million great movement ideas every second and cannot shut up during dance class. He has so many ideas. The best one being 2 weeks ago when we were interrupted by our fire drill, and he told me that the fire drill was wasting dance time. These students who live in low-income urban areas are our state's future, and their participation in arts programming equals productive, creative, and engaged citizens. Over the past 22 years, during richer times, when the CAC had a $32 million budget, and leaner times, when they were saved by the NEA with the $1 million budget, I've worked as a teaching artist and as past co-director of Asian American dance performances in San Francisco and in my current position at Luna Dance Institute. I have personally taught 7,000 children, presented the work of 72 choreographers, and coached and employed over 200 teaching artists who are also teaching thousands of children. I have only worked for small and mid-sized community-based arts nonprofits, not large cultural institutions, and the CAC has been a major supporter in our efforts. Imagine what the potential could be with a budget increase to the CAC. I was born and raised in California. I have lived here all my life. I support additional funding through ACR 46. To the arts, it's a sound investment for our state and our economy. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'd like to thank Assemblymember Calderon and Assemblymember Nazarian for their leadership in this and in support of the arts for some time. As I told you, I represent not only Arts Orange County, but also Californians for the Arts and the California Arts Advocates. We have wholeheartedly endorsed this resolution. And, California, I'm a California native too, so I love, I sometimes forget that, but I love being reminded of it because it's a great state, and I think that we take great pride in the innovative economy that we have here that leads the world, and that the future of our state is so dependent on keeping that cutting edge in innovation. And I love to tell the story about colleagues at the Boeing Company who often speak about how important arts education is to them, because they'll recruit 4.0 grads from Caltech and MIT, and within 6 months they'll have dozens and dozens of them just burning out because all they know how to do is sit in front of a computer and write code. But the ones who succeed are the ones who have had arts backgrounds, who have been in theater, who have been in show choir, who are artists, and they know how to collaborate, they know how to think outside the box, and they work well within Boeing, and they really are leading the innovation taking place in that company. I can't speak on behalf of that company, and certainly I know that one of their executives will be testifying at next week's joint committee hearing on the arts. But it's a mantra of that company that the arts are really critical to their business and the future of their business. Being a Californian, we all assume that we are far more enlightened than the rest of the states in the U.S. And when you look at the level of funding for the arts, I'd have to call that into question. We are ranked 47th or 48th, depending on how you do the calculations. And states that, in my estimation, and having lived in a few of them, I can tell you, like Texas and Mississippi, that are far less enlightened, are funding the arts at a much, much higher per capita rate than the state of California. So I think it's time for us to overcome the past more than a decade of $1 million a year of general fund support for the Arts Council and really go for a very significant boost and restore the funding to the level that we once were. At the peak of the California Arts Council, it was funded at $32 million. And I think we can do that. And I know there's many priorities to balance, but this really is an investment in the future of our state.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Brad Erickson from the Theater Bay Area, as I mentioned a few moments ago. I want to thank Assemblyman Calderon and Nazarian for authoring this bill for all of the reasons that you've heard so eloquently described about the value of the arts to the state of California and the important role that the Arts Council plays. I want to just tell you one small story which I think is emblematic about what the Arts Council in particular can do. A couple of months ago, the Arts Council in collaboration with the Department of Education held a convening in Oakland at the Oakland School of the Arts, Create California, which is an effort to put arts and creativity back at the center of education in California. And it is the second time I've been to the Oakland School of the Arts, and I have to say it is just go there if you have a chance. It is one of the best places on earth, truly. This is a public school, and the school kids look like California. They do not look like certain kinds of Californians who usually get the arts. They are intelligent, they are engaged, they are incredibly talented, and they make you proud to be a Californian. This is the kind of thing that the Arts Council does all over the state. Sometimes people say, well, we're a wealthy state. Can't private philanthropy take care of this? And the answer is private philanthropy is doing a great deal, but they are not getting to every corner of the state by any means. The Central Valley is being left out, rural areas are being left out, and inner city areas are being left out. And it is part of the mandate of the California Arts Council to open doors of access to the arts for all Californians, and only that state agency will do that. So thank you for your testimony, thank you for this bill, and I urge you to support it.
All right, thank you for the testimony. Are there any questions of the author or the witnesses from the committee members? All right, seeing none, is there any additional support?
Just one
sorry,
additional.
Mr. Nazarian?
That's okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Kathy Lynch, representing the California Alliance for Arts Education. I'll be very brief. I wanted to thank the authors for bringing the bill. I represent arts education, which has been an emphasis here and a focus, and we appreciate that. I, too, was at the event Mr. Erickson speaks of, and it's enlightening. It's what we're all here for. I think one of the very important things, however, is that this be stable, ongoing funding. If we're really going to help education in California and create that equity and access for all kids in California, we can't be clawing at this every year. There has to be a commitment to the economic vitality of the role of the arts and to the commitment to our kids for a quality education. So I really appreciate the work you're doing on this. Thank you.
I'm Angela Tati. I actually started at Arts Obispo, the Arts Council of San Luis Obispo County, last Wednesday. However, I have been with the State Local Partnership for more than 20 years, just leaving Placer County. And Placer is part of the Sierra Nevada Arts Alliance, so I also represented 22 agencies of the Sierra Nevada, all rural, and I consider the Central Coast rural, though so sometimes we identify San Luis Obispo with Cal Poly and the concentration of students and families there. It is really vastly rural. So when Brad said every corner of the state local partnership of the California Arts Council is a county-by-county idea so that people of all ages and all incomes and all persuasions can be touched by the arts through the state local partnership. And the funds this year were so very encouraging. I want to say just one thing, because California has really big questions around water and the drought. There's no drought of ideas in the arts among cultural institutions, small, medium, and large organizations, and among the individual artists, visual, performing, and literary. We must mine that gold of California's artists. And there's no drought of ideas. We just put to use the funds last year to create a watershed reflections project to increase water use awareness and preservation of the watershed, conservation efforts, and we have a big Earth Day event in Placer County around those ideas. But they will be more than just a festival. They will be long-lasting ideas, and there are wayfinding signs and markers that are being placed by artists that will give people thoughts and ideas, families, children, seniors who hike and walk throughout the Sierra, that will be there because of the funds that you invested. More of these things can happen with your support, and thank you so much. Thank you very much for the bill.
Good morning, and thank you to the committee for hearing our comments. My name is Pamela Zelsky, and I am here on behalf of the California Association of Museums. On behalf of the association and the museums that we serve, we are strongly in support of this resolution. As many of you are aware, California is home to a great variety of museums, from world-renowned destinations to small museums, including art museums of all sizes. An increase in budget would be something that the California Association of Museums strongly supports. Many of our member institutions have benefited from grants from the California Arts Council, and these funds have enabled our institutions to not only enhance their programs and services, but also create new unique and creative programming that benefit Californians of all ages. Thank you so much.
Hi, Danielle Brazell, General Manager of the Department of Cultural Affairs for the City of Los Angeles. I wanted just to say thank you so ever much for your leadership, Assemblymember Calderon and Nazarian. This is precisely the type of leadership that we need in order to make sure that we can make sure that the arts and culture are not relegated to just a few, but to all Californians. And this would directly benefit some of the most under-resourced communities in my little fishing village down south. And so I would encourage you to of course, all vote for this, because it's I think, a great thing for our state. Thank you.
Hello, Elizabeth Doran, again, the Executive Director of the Pasadena Playhouse. I just want to register our support for this bill, and I hope that you will all say aye. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any testimony in opposition? Seeing none, Assemblyman Calderon, you can close on your bill.
There was some comments.
Would you like to ask a question, Mr. Nazarian?
It's more of a comment.
Okay, please go ahead.
Just wanted to say, first of all, thank you very much. I'm very proud to join you in, Mr. Calderon, in supporting this bill, this measure. It's interesting when you look at what makes up the fabric of California, of our state. When you see the numbers come out, both tangible and intangible. California stands on the pillars of the grand economy of our state, one of the pillars being the entertainment industry, which is comes through the creative economy. And the great work that, as we've witnessed, has shaped the industry in now being pulled and torn apart into different parts of the country as well as all over the world, tells you how much of a demand there is and how lucrative it could be also. So it's ultimately the investments we make here are going to have profound benefits for future generations of kids who will then continue on into arenas of work. I wouldn't have thought of Boeing, but I'm glad that you mentioned it as an example. But what we may not know, what we're investing in right now, can yield great benefits. And so thank you for bringing the measure forward. And I look forward to working with this committee as well as others to make sure that we continue the funding of the arts.
Thank you.
And with that, I make a motion to move the bill.
Okay, it's a motion by Assemblyman Nazarian, second by Assemblyman Chu to move the bill. Is there any close? Mr. Calderon?
Yeah, I respectfully ask for aye vote, and thank you all for your time in hearing this measure. I mean, it's a resolution, but it says a lot more than what you might realize or what we might believe. And you know, Mr. Nazarian, your help is absolutely paramount to this issue. You're a champion of arts, and I'm so glad to have a partner like you with this measure and fighting for arts education funding throughout the state. It's a very important issue. I think that has been more than underscored today in the testimony of the witnesses and attendance at the committee today. And I think that one issue that was brought up is a very valid issue in terms of consistent funding. Something that can, I mean, if you're a business, you need to have that consistency. You need to have that certainty. I don't believe that arts funding should be any different. That you need that certainty, you need that consistency in funding so that you know what kind of programs, especially if you're a school, are going to be able to offer that year. And these are such important programs that really have a profoundly positive or potentially negative impact on California's future. So again, thank you all for your time and for your comments, and I ask for an aye vote.
Okay, the motion is be adopted for ACR 46. Please call the roll.
Calderon.
Aye.
Calderon, aye. Olbernauty.
Aye.
Olbernauty, aye. Chu.
Aye.
Chu, aye. Hadley.
Aye.
Hadley, aye. Levine.
Aye.
Levine, aye. Medina. Nazarian. Nazarian, aye. Do pass, or a measure adopted.
Congratulations, Mr. Calderon. The script is obviously not what they were expecting, because this only has questions of the opposition down here, and there wasn't any opposition, but they were obviously expecting.
Mr. Olbernauty, thank you so much for chairing for me. I appreciate that. Did a fine job, sir. At this time, we're going to leave the roll open for members that were absent or missed votes to add on. Secretary, if you can please go through the bills that we've gone over and allow members to add on to these bills.
File item 1, AB 166. Motion due pass to appropriations. Medina. Nazarian.
Aye.
Nazarian, aye. File item 2, AB 189. Due pass to local government. Levine.
Aye.
Levine, aye. Medina. Measure passes. File item number 3, AB 768. Levine.
Aye.
Medina. Do pass to governmental organization.
Great. We're going to leave the roll open for another 5 or 10 minutes to allow any other absent members to add on if they please, but I thank you all for coming.